1580, the Terry Claiborne Foundation presents its 26th annual holiday party, Saturday, December 9th, featuring live entertainment, celebrity appearances, plus food and drinks. There is a cover charge for this party of the season, but not if you're one of our special guests. All you have to do is go to our website at KBLA1580.com and sign up. That's it, that's all. Just sign up at KBLA1580.com and you could win entrance to the soiree of the season. But whether you win or not, get a ticket, support the kids, and come join us on the red carpet in your semi-formal club attire and celebrate the season with KBLA Talk 1580 and the Terry Claiborne Foundation as we collect toys for the youth in our community. That's Saturday, December 9th, 1110 South La Cienega Boulevard, just south of Olympic. It's a holiday party with a purpose.
I'm Terry Claiborne. It's going to be a party. Come hang out with us.
Cause it's all about control. And I've got lots of it.
Welcome in. It's Tuesday, and you were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, usually, I know what the connection is or the theme of the night, right? I'm kind of scared to ask what brought out Miss Janet in control tonight. I feel like I might know, but I'm scared to ask. Andy, are you clowning me secretly?
Go ahead and take a guess.
Oh, so, we have a YouTube channel that accompanies this broadcast. So if you want a visual to go along with this audio experience, and I'm thinking my choice of attire tonight might be why Andy broke up with Janet Control. Listen. I feel that is mean. I feel that is wrong. I feel like Control Janet was big hair, big 80s teased hair, and Rhythm Nation was more hat lockdown situation.
Look, what's crazy is I went through the Rhythm Nation album first. But then I was like, you know what? I kind of want something a little bit more upbeat. And there's some upbeat, up-tempo songs on Rhythm Nation. But I don't know. I just... Control, you know what I'm saying? It's just,
the ultimate Janet. I knew it, though, but I knew it. I knew the connection. I was like, oh, Andy got jokes.
I mean, I didn't see any specific titles on the thumbnails or whatnot. So, when I saw you walk in, I was like, oh, she looking like Janet right now.
I'm giving Janet, put me on a planet, damn it, where all the goons look like Janet.
But it's not a diss, though. It's just
I know. I'm just playing. It's Tuesday. It's a holiday week. We are all getting ready for, the good eats on Thursday. Or maybe, I have some friends that are decidedly not Thanksgiving people. They're like, I do not know why you guys go up for food we could have on any given Sunday. And it's all bad for you. And it is unhealthy to want to get your eat on one day and pile in like 2,000 calories for what? So they are just very, not the concept of Thanksgiving and, gathering with friends and family and giving thanks, but the whole food, what they feel is gluttony. I don't know. I like it. I like it. I probably, but then again, here's the thing. I don't really do in that regard, like the Sunday dinner, like Sunday soul food dinners. That's not something that I indulge in frequently. So, Thanksgiving, I don't, I get this type of food maybe twice a year, maybe 3 times, not often. Pretty much Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, we have some form or fashion of it, right?
What do you eat on a regular basis?
Um, like for dinner or for I've been in this latest era of my life has very much been girl dinner era, where girl dinners are where you just kind of throwing something together. It's really like snacks, tapas, but I like salads. I like wraps. I like tacos. I can cook a variety of things, but the time sometimes, man.
Are you a cottage cheese and pickles type person?
I don't mess with cottage cheese.
Okay, cool.
I don't mess with cottage cheese at all. I like pickles, though. I like pickles.
Can't do it.
You don't like pickles?
Hate them.
Really?
Do not like them. I had them as a kid, and I don't know if I was just eating them because, they used to sell the big pickle.
The big deal pickle.
At the, the ice cream truck or whatnot. But I never was ever a fan of pickles like that.
Because you don't like sour tart, like that kind of thing,
I don't.
right?
I don't like mustard,
Right.
sauerkraut. I don't
So
like
that
none of
explains it right there. Yep. I understand that because I am exactly the opposite. I go in, I like that sour type of thing. But I'm not messing with cottage cheese. I used to try when I was a kid. Because it would be in the teen magazines. And cottage cheese has never worked for me. Just the consistency of it is kind of wrong to me. I'm not a big food consistency person, but I am. Like, there's just some things I'm like, I can't mess with that. So, love a good grilled chicken. I like normal things, pasta, rice, Chicken and rice, man, that is universal. Whatever culture, whatever race, there's a pretty good chicken and rice dish. So, and I like vegetables a lot, a great deal, but only particular ones. So, Andy, do you like cucumbers since you don't like pickles, or is it just,
I think I need to be careful. I love cucumbers. I can eat them raw.
Yeah. So it's the vinegar. It's the vinegar that turns you off.
I hate hot sauce.
Do you
I hate
really?
the smell of it. Yeah. You can take my card away, but I hate hot sauce.
No, I'm not taking your card away. I understand. Ooh, I love hot sauce.
Vinegar,
okay. Yeah, vinegar.
Stuff.
You're like,
I don't even like the smell of it.
Okay. That's understandable, though.
I'm the type of person who will put ketchup on everything.
Interesting, but you like ketchup.
I love ketchup.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even fried fish. You know what I'm saying? You know how people do the tartar sauce and the hot sauce?
Mm-hmm.
Give me some ketchup.
I feel like that reminds me as a kid, like when you would eat fish sticks with ketchup. But here's the thing, I don't eat fish. So there we go. I eat crustaceans, not swimmy fish. And I know I'm being really basic with the description, but I know the difference. I eat tuna.
No catfish for you?
Absolutely not.
No cod?
No.
Red snapper?
No.
Whiting?
None of that.
Tilapia?
Tilapia is...
I understand about tilapia.
Yeah, no. If I'm going to eat it, definitely not that. I'm going to tell you the only fish that I had good, and this isn't even recent, but I'm saying recently. I had the, what is it? Chilean sea bass at Katana years ago. Fire. But then I found out that Chilean sea bass is a totally made up name for these fish and how they farm them. And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to eat that again. Like,
how about salmon?
Very limited. Do not.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely not. Keep it away from me.
Interesting. Okay.
No. But shrimp and crab, lobster on occasion, we're good.
See, I'm none of that. Except for shrimp. But crab, lobster, mussels, oysters.
I don't mess with mussels or oysters
none
either.
Of them joints.
So, people get creative on Thanksgiving. They'll make like oyster dressing and things like that. Or, cranberries in the dressing, which actually isn't too bad. But I don't feel like you should pop that on people. I feel like you should give people a choice. Like maybe have a basic, dressing thing. Do you think that there's a difference? I know I'm just going on. I haven't even got to the topics yet. We're going to break them down for you in a second. But it's Thanksgiving week. It's the holidays. So we're going to talk about food because I love food. We have a food show on this network, but that's a separate issue. Do you think there's a difference between dressing and stuffing?
Man, to me, they're all the same.
I think so too.
It's all in just how you prepare it. To me, it's not
basically,
stuffing if it's not
stuffed in the turkey.
In the turkey.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it too. And I'm not really a big one on stuffing putting it in the turkey. Just not for any reason. Like, it's cool, but I prefer, if I'm putting something in the cavity, I want it to be vegetables. I want to put in, some carrots, some celery, some onions, a little parsley, some lemon, that type of thing. And a lot of butter.
Do you not like the way the stuffing looks sometimes? Because sometimes it can look like mush.
That might be part of it. I prefer dressing baked in where it looks fluffy and cooked through. Because, that's the thing about dressing or stuffing. Like, if it is not cooked all the way through, you want it to be moist, but not that mush. And you also don't want it to be dry. So there is a fine line. And the mush stuff, that's that consistency thing. Like, I don't want to see that.
I'm with you. I don't mind the mush as long as it tastes good.
I just needed a little firmer, a little, But in general, I like dressing. I like it. I make a really good one,
Do you have cranberries in yours?
I've tried that. I've tried like recipes, to do different things. But again, it's not something like, I get the combination. It's savory and sweet. But it is not something I think that is fair. Like, people always say you don't do experiments on Thanksgiving. People kind of want the good things, and maybe you have a pan of the experimental stuff or a pan of the regular stuff just in case, because it's not that hard to do. Just when you're about to mix it in, one pan, a little bit to the side, another pan, do what you're going to do.
See, I don't mind the experimental dishes, like, I remember having a debate about putting marshmallows on mac and cheese. At least on the
marshmallows
top of it.
on mac and cheese?
Yeah.
On macaroni and cheese.
On macaroni and cheese.
Like macaroni, sharp, mild cheddar, elbow.
Yes.
Why would you do that though?
I think it's the whole sweet and savory kind of situation. I mean, of course you see the marshmallows like on yams or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I've actually have come across some dishes where you will see marshmallows on the mac. And, I was kind of taken aback at first, but it was actually pretty good.
Now, I like my mac and cheese and my yams to touch. So, in theory, I can get it, but I don't want any marshmallows. But I don't really want marshmallows on anything. I found as I've gotten older as an adult, and we're going to get to the headlines on the other side after we finish this up. But as I become an adult, I don't mess with marshmallows. I used to love them as a kid. I used to like s'mores. I don't want marshmallow on anything. Keep them away from me.
What's wrong?
Not in my hot chocolate. I think just as I've gotten older, my palate has changed. And sometimes, like for me, marshmallows remind me of the cream and Oreo cookies. Like Oreos don't taste the way that they did as a child to me. And I think it's because of ingredients change and things that change over time. And so certain things that do not taste the same way as they did for me, like in childhood or when I was younger, I stay away from, because whether it's real or implied, to me, it's like, oh, that's some new chemical, or that's something that was, a fresh ingredient that's now an additive, and I want no parts of it. So I could be wrong, but I just have certain things about food. Like, I love food. I'm a foodie, but I am, as I've gotten more older, just more cognizant about how I eat, the way I eat, and the things that I eat. Like, I'm not going to deny myself, because why should I? But I do believe in moderation, and I think that people don't really understand that. And when they think moderation, they don't really think moderation. I don't know. I was impacted by like those videos where they show you how much sugar is in soda.
Oh, yeah.
All of those different things. And as you get older, you realize how valuable your health is and how small adjustments can help you over the course of a lifetime. And, I don't want to be old, having to take a bunch of pills. Everything hurts when I get up. If I can just make simple modifications to my diet, a couple of stretches, things. I'm not talking about going crazy, but just those small things that over time add up. So if something like Oreos or marshmallows doesn't taste right to me or whatever, and I recognize I may not eat as much sugar as I did in my youth, but I'm still not going to mess with it just because,
And that's probably what it is, though. It's probably not necessarily they added or took away a chemical.
Nah, they changed some stuff.
I'm sure
they changed some
I'm
stuff.
sure, but I will say that, like you said, your palate has changed, and maybe because you strayed away a little bit from sugar or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know your sugar.
See, I don't feel that I haven't really strayed away, because I very much like cupcakes. I like cake. I like sweets. It's just something, some of the prepackaged goods.
Right.
I think that over time, it's natural. Ingredients become more expensive. Mm-hmm. They might be harder to source. A new company takes over and they want to change or something like that. All of those things matter as far as products. And, I'm a little classic. I'm Gen X. So we're talking about a significant amount of time between those things. So, I recognize all of that. In addition to, I know that like Hawaiian Punch, used to love Hawaiian Punch as a kid. Can't do it as an adult.
So what you saying? You think they changed up the chemicals?
I think some of the I think it's natural. It happens. If you look at some of the lists, like some things become either they found out, oh, that was very bad for you. We can't include that in there. Or, they might have found a cheaper option. It happens in all types of products. Like a couple of years ago, women were upset about Carol's daughter when it was bought out by a bigger company because some of the ingredients changed. Same thing happened with I can't remember, Camille Rose, I think it might have been. Some people were saying it happens. Ingredients where you source them at, you might have been getting them from India one year and China the next. So there might be a slight difference in them, and all of that impacts things. So, you got to watch the commodities and see what's happening with the companies. But I just feel like, again, it might just be something that I have, concocted with myself. I do recognize that when I don't eat as much, your flavor changes or whatever, but some things are still good.
I'm with you.
So
because I hated onions growing up, but
now you like them.
I like them. And it's weird because I'll do raw onions on a taco, but I won't do raw onions on a burger.
I got it. It depends on the flavor and how the food combinations come together, right?
Absolutely. But it's like I gotta have onions when it comes to a taco or something like that. So
it's authentic. That's the LA in you. When we come forward, we're gonna get into these trending topics and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions because we've got your black. Listen up. If you're one of the more than 100,000 California tenants who were rejected or delayed when applying for COVID rental assistance, you've got a second chance. Under the terms of a new settlement, California's Housing and Community Development Department agreed to audit its past denials. The program ended in March 2022, but the advocacy groups, Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, Policy CityLink and Strategic Actions for a Just Economy sued the department. According to the coalition's analysis of state data, the department rejected nearly 30% of all applicants. Under the settlement, the department agreed to clear all renters in the pipeline within 6 months. The settlement applies to anyone who sought assistance from the state's Housing is Key program before April 1st, 2022, whose applications is pending or was denied after June 6, 2022. Tenants who have questions about the status of their application can call the hotline at 833-430-2122. That's 833-430-2122. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now let me give you the rundown of what we're going to get into tonight. So in hour one, we're talking lifestyle stuff. I mean, if it wasn't apparent by how we started off the show, it will be for the topics. So there's a couple of studies I thought that were interesting, and since we're headed into the holidays, I wanted to get into. One of them is about what millennials feel is the perfect salary for happiness. What is that number and what you should have in the bank account, where they feel like life is cool. It is a lot more than maybe you would think, but not as much as maybe one would imagine. We're going to get into that. We're also going to get into the epidemic of loneliness among adults. As we are heading into the holidays, it's a good reminder, but more and more adults are admitting that they are lonely. And there are more services popping up. Like there are things like the cuddler, where you pay someone to come and lay in bed with you and cuddle with you for an amount of time. Is that something you would do? Like, in theory, I get the concept because sometimes you just need a hug, but a stranger? Like, I don't know. That just seems tricky, but we're going to get into that. And lastly, in this hour, we're going to get into another study that says that adults feel like people's expectations around sex and about sex in general are unrealistic, and we're going to get into the realities of sex as an adult currently. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to get into, in the second hour, Lil Boosie, he's like old Saint Nick right now. He's making a list and checking it twice. He's checking some of your favorite rappers and new R&B singers about using his music as samples. And there were some examples brought up with a couple of these artists' music where they also interloped another artist. So I want to have a conversation around interloping. Is that fair? Does it take away credibility as a writer and an artist? And also it leads to the next question. Do you think, because there's no union as far as the music industry is concerned, that over the next couple of years, we will see some type of strike or some type of formation as far as, recording artists, performers with the labels? Because there's always a lot of conversation around unfair contracts, what rights were given up, what they knew at the time, what is fair and just. So want to have a couple of thoughts around that. And then in hour three, we're going to talk about Ari Lennox. Just came out recently and admitted that there was a period of time where she considered getting a nose job, and she discussed why she decided not to. And there was a conversation that was floating around TikTok and online about there being a certain aesthetic for Black women. So I want to get into that conversation, and if we feel that the pressures of the industry are still the same. When we have rappers that in theory look as varied from Sexy Red, Glorilla to Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and Beyonce, is there still a look, or is it just more about an aesthetic, and is that aesthetic still front and center? We know no clothes is part of it, but is there an aesthetic at this point in time? Those are the stories that we're going to get into. But of course, we got a couple of conversation starters that we like to start off the show with, because Why not? We want you to be informed. So there's going to be a rematch between Floyd Mayweather and John Gotti III during Super Bowl weekend in Las Vegas. Zeus Network has announced that they are bringing you the rematch. You know, Vegas is going to be crazy this February. The Super Bowl is going to be there. Usher's performing at halftime. You know, the Oakland A's have just announced, not for a couple of years though, they're going to be moving there. We know we just got over F1 taking place. We have the in-season tournament taking place there in a couple weeks. So I don't know, you know, it always has been a highlight, but Vegas is becoming something else. At any rate, are you interested in seeing Floyd Mayweather in these little exhibition matches? Like, is it something that gets you going? I feel like, to a degree, he is selling his brand with, you know, these little play things. We know he doesn't need the money. We know his money is making money on top of money in some ways. Like, I'm sure he's bored, but I really wish he wouldn't do it. Train somebody else. Be the cornerman and hyper. I don't know. I just don't like it. It just doesn't roll correctly for me. You know, the chat is going on, as it always does. Pretty Brown Mimi says, I'm from the South. Dressing is easier versus stuffing the bird. She also said, no cuddler services. I'd rather gather with people to chat and socialize with. Urban Spinster says, what if the client for cuddling is not the cleanest? All good questions, right? What if the person that you are cuddling with doesn't have the best hygiene? What if they didn't have time to hit those pits that day? I mean, there's all types of things. What if they drool and fall asleep? I just, you know, it's already weird going to sleep with someone. Like, I don't know. And not that, I guess if you're cuddling, I don't know what you do. I just can't imagine paying for that service. It's probably much easier to get a dog or a stuffed animal. What are those things, those puffy things that kids are really into now? Marshmallows or something, smushmallows. That's what they're called. Get a smushmallow. Andy?
I think that'd be a lucrative business. And number two, I mean, cats are meeting up on dating apps, anyway, and you don't know if he or she is funky or
True.
He or she might be funky. So I don't know.
Yeah, but just because you're meeting up with someone for a date, that doesn't mean that you're going to be sharing intimate space.
That's true.
And here's the thing. I don't know this. Where are we cuddling at? Are you coming to my home? Are we cuddling in my bed? Are we cuddling on the couch? How does that work? Because, you know, is it the same cuddler every month? Like, I need details for all of this. That doesn't seem like a logical solution for me. But then again, I'm skeptical about everything. I'm going to have questions. I want a complete rundown.
I think all of that stuff would be in the app.
I'm sure it would be, but I still feel like I've watched too much TV. Too many reality TV show things. You know what I mean? True crime is a big thing. I don't know. I'm paranoid.
Look, if you're a cuddler and that's a part of your business, it would be in your best interest to want to smell good because there's going to be reviews, ratings, such and such.
I believe you. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he loves travel as he explains the amount of times he's been to Turkey. His trips to Turkey have come into question since the FBI started looking into Adams' campaign finances, favors, and possible influence by the Turkish government. The mayor, who is black, says he is hiring someone to set up a legal defense fund because New Yorkers have reached out to his team wanting to help. The HBCU Alabama A&M Marching Band will lead this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. Less than a dozen bands from across the country were selected to perform in the famous parade this week. Additionally, the Dancing Divas will perform with the Rockettes at Radio City Music Hall. The broadcast starts at 8:30 a.m. in all time zones. It will broadcast simultaneously on NBC and Peacock. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Following the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, could potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Shine on every prime time. Mastermind getting this paper and I cross the fine line. Money plenty, sipping gently with the Bentley. My Bentley running over empty with gifts you sent me. Then you broke the last rule, frontin' like we was mad cool. You damn fool, come around frontin' wearing your man's jewels. Play your part, Dick want me to start. Get on your mark quick and target, corner the market. Keep how we moving this, keep improving this. See you in this because you love the way me and my crew be doing it. Have a ball, I'm not mad at y'all with the alcohol. I ain't messing with you at all, girl. Yo, small, cock the hot, write it off while you bite it off and try to fight it off. In fact that you whack and your light is off. Bite the dust, you like the fuss, look right at us. I know you like the cuss, who can you trust to bring the rush?
Welcome back in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, that was a little Busta Rhymes. You guys know he has a new album coming out. He's working on it. Nas told these older rappers they need to start rapping again, and they listened, and now they're putting out, you know, product. Andy.
You know, I'm all for my heroes, to use a word that, what's his name? Who used heroes? Oh, Slim Thug. I like the fact that they're coming out with music, right? But you know, Rick Ross and Meek Mill recently dropped an album, and I listened to it.
Did you?
I don't know if
they had the audacity to call it Kobe and Shaq, didn't they?
It was a fire record, though.
It was?
So
okay,
salute to them.
All right.
I'm not gonna knock it. Plus, they got Shaq and Dame Dollar on the remix. But
do they really?
They do, yes. They do.
And you know, Shaq is the first NBA player to go platinum. Dame Dollar is the first to legitimately put out music and it do something. Okay.
And they did their thing, especially Dame, for sure. Shaq sounded a little bit old, but
I mean, yeah. He still sounded like he was Fooshnickins. What's up, Doc? Can we rock?
A little like
I got the super duper.
His voice got even more gravelly for some reason. I don't know what that's all about. But I say all that to say that I don't know. I mean, I could go back and listen to the album again. I just think that when the album dropped and I went on Twitter, I went on X, and I saw the commentary about it, there was this consensus that the album was 10 years late and that it was a little dated. And I was taken aback by that because I was just like, I'm listening to the album and I'm enjoying it. But I was thinking to myself, like, man, if this dropped 10 years ago, this album, it would be fire. So I just hate to say, I just think drop some music, old folks. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't know if it's going to resonate with today's audience.
Let me ask you this, though, in that, well, here's one. By today's audience, do you mean specifically the youth or the audience that they have always entertained? Because I also want to know, both Meek and Rick Ross have various outside interests outside of rap. And we talked about this before a little bit with Drake. And do you think that because, you know, Meek is a social justice, you know, person essentially at this point, or a tweeter, like however you want to look at it, but he's not, and I don't know what I mean by not in that rap mode, because I don't really know what that is for each individual person, but it just doesn't seem like the music is a priority. And I think that started because of the money not being there and wanting to diversify and find other streams. But do you think that in turn is now impacting the quality of music, or is it just that realistically, what's a good shelf life for a current rapper? Like, how many albums do you think the average rapper has in them for quality?
A good strong 2.
2?
Yes. a good strong 2 albums, and after that second album, you know, it starts to fade a little bit. Your star power starts to fade a little bit, and I can see why people would want to tap into other ventures or whatnot. So I don't know, like when you come in the game, you got to hit them hard, and I don't know. That longevity thing ain't gonna work.
Do you think it's because they put out too much music, kind of like how we say AAU players play too much ball, and by the time they get to the part where they should be, you know, bringing their peak or their apex, for some, they're out of gas?
I don't know. It really depends on the artist, because, you know, somebody like Nipsey, you could go ahead and just say he dropped one project, right?
Mhm.
One official album. But, you know, he had like 7-8 mixtapes prior to that. So I don't know, because with Nipsey Hussle, he dropped about 8 records or whatnot, and it was all fire. But at the same time, each album or whatever,
I felt like he grew through each project.
Exactly.
There might have been a song like on the early ones that I appreciated or two. Like I'm not gonna lie and say I remember which song necessarily goes with every project, because I don't. But I did recall seeing the improvement, seeing the growth, and, you know, his delivery,
100%.
his writing style, all of those things.
Absolutely.
So I get it from that perspective. But I also feel like the pressure, like how many albums has Rick Ross dropped? I want to see. Rick Ross dropped in like what, 2005, 2006.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's put out,
I know he's nearing 10 somewhere.
that's a lot of albums. Like when you really, really think about it,
Right.
that's plus all the features and so forth. That is a lot of content. And he, starting in about, let's see, I'm looking at his discography, almost yearly he puts out content.
And low key, I felt like when it came to hip hop, that was the thing to do.
It was
Every
for a
year
period
drop a project. With R&B, maybe 2-3 years.
It started to change. I feel like it started to change in the 2000s, because
did.
remember, DMX was the first artist to put out, well, he put out an album in the same year, but
Mhm.
even that was
98.
considered crazy. Even if it had been 98, 99, that still wasn't something that we were seeing at the time.
Right.
I think the 2000s accelerated that, but I don't know if it's been the greatest thing for all of the artists. Like, it certainly kept them in the system, in the forefront, but as far as we've been talking about the decline in the quality of music for the past, you know, the 2010s weren't that great to me for a lot of music. I'm not saying there wasn't great music put out within them, but I don't think that it was a great time for music.
Yeah, I think an artist's shelf life, especially when it comes to hip hop, is probably a good 2 to 3 albums, and then after that second, third album, you know, you start to wane a little bit. Like 50, for example, Get Rich or Die Trying, he punched us in the face with
Right.
it. Then he hit us off with the Massacre, punched us in the face with that, and then he dropped, what was that, Curtis? That was the album where he battled with Kanye.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a couple tracks on there, but then after that, you know,
50, I mean, I heard his tour was fire this summer, the final lap, and people really enjoyed it. I'm sure 50 has great stage presence, you know, and also, I think spending so much time in the acting world, I think that that is going to help you as far as your stage performance, because you understand so much more, well, I would hope, a develop of how your body can command and interact with the audience while you're on stage, and the things that you can do, you know? So I don't know. Rick Ross put out 11 albums, so he is on number 11. One soundtrack album. It says 100, I'm looking at Wikipedia, 145 singles, 91 music videos, and one compilation album.
I think maybe, and I could be all the way wrong, but I feel like maybe artists should focus on the single, right? I remember, you know, coming up, when I couldn't afford albums, I would go to the music store and purchase singles.
Yeah.
Because my mentality at the time is, why am I going to buy an album with no guarantee of me liking the other songs, but I know I like this particular song, so let me just purchase this for $2 at the time.
I got a music industry story about singles versus albums when we come forward. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its LA Repair Participatory Budgeting Program invite nonprofit organizations to submit proposals to turn community ideas into reality. More than $5.4 million is available to make a difference in the Arleta, Pacoima, Westlake, Skid Row, South LA, Leimert Park, and Harbor areas. Don't wait. Proposals are due on November 29th at noon. To apply, visit repair.lacity.gov. LA Repair gives people real power over real money. Visit repair.lacity.gov.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Kendi in the chat says, if you can't compete, you shouldn't drop an album. The only older rapper that can compete is Kanye. The only? Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, compete with who? Like, what is the bar? So is it Drake? Is Drake past his prime in that? Like, what is the bar as far as the standard for, that next wave? We obviously have our upper echelon, our, legends, icons at this time. They're cemented. Your Jays, your Snoops, no matter how you feel, Nas, couple of others that are in there that are at the top, and we consider that. But what is that next level underneath that you feel would be, I guess, sort of the peer level or the pace setter for 2023 as far as hip hop that's not one of those established guys? If you have an answer, let me know in the chat. If you want to call in and give your opinion about that, 800-920-1580. That's a good question. I'm really not sure who I would consider that to be or who they would. I think for some, maybe not all, for some, they're also competing with themselves, right? And it is the balance that we talk about between being true to what you were and what your fans know, love, and expect from you, but also moving them ahead into new territory, new sounds, just wherever you are currently. I think if you look at Jay-Z, and we've talked about this numerous times, that even though we may like some of the new music that he puts out, I don't know if there's as much replay value there for most fans in that way. It's more kind of like a book or a piece of art where you go, you experience it, and then you put it back on the shelf and move on. You know, I bet dollars to donuts if Jay-Z were to announce a tour right now, right? The majority of what fans want to hear from him are songs that are 10 plus years old. I don't know how many are going to be clamoring to see something for 444. What was the album right before that? I can't remember. But yeah, Magna Carta, Holy Grail. I don't know how many people are going to be like, I just got to hear something from those two albums. I don't think so. And I feel like I went to the Magna Carta, Holy Grail tour or something around it. I don't know if that was the last tour. I can't really remember. But feel like I went to the last Jay solo tour. Andy?
I think I went to the 444 at the Forum or whatnot. It's Jay-Z. Jay-Z got records.
Right.
It's gonna be a couple records off of the 444. I don't see him performing the whole 444 album, but he's probably gonna perform the OJ record, or I believe there's a record called Moonlight, has like a little Jamaican feel.
The
to
OJ
it.
record, because he did perform that, I believe. Because that's storytelling, and that's where he kind of is. I feel like, you know, when I was listening to some of Andre 3000's comments, right? And, you know, his album is doing numbers. Everybody's jumping on the ambient wave, which might be good. Everybody probably needs to chill out, get some meditation in their life, and learn to relax a bit. We've had a rough couple of years. But when he was talking about what was he going to rap about as a 48, 49-year-old man, and thinking back to Jay-Z's interview with Gayle King, and we have a funny story about that, that he also said that he can't see himself really coming out to rap unless he really had something to say. I think that that is also something that happens as far as a career in hip-hop, because hip-hop is for the young, and I think it's because it's all that youthful exuberance in that manner. I'm not saying that only the youth can enjoy hip-hop. I'm just saying, you know, what it was based upon, rebellion, speaking out, those things. As you get older, you naturally become more reserved, more conservative, more laid back. So you may not be have as much fire in your belly like you did in your younger years. And sure, you could rap about parenting and, you know, homework time and sitting in the line. And, you know, Jay-Z is really creative. He can make anything sound fire. But is that what he really wants to rap about? Is that what we as an audience, again, we say we want a lot of things, but as an audience, that's the we, I'm just saying. But sometimes when we are presented with them, we're like, actually, I think I'm good. So, you know, it's all a chess move. It's sort of figuring these things out in and out. I mentioned singles to Andy, and back when I was working at a label, Virgin, this was about 20 years ago, there was a situation happening in the music industry, just that, about promoting singles versus promoting albums, because it kind of was competing against themselves in some ways, and they felt like they were cannibalizing each other. So there was, you know, heated discussions among some labels about what they were putting out as far as units and how those dollars were being allocated. But what it did do is, in my opinion, left the door open for Apple and iTunes to come in and take over the music game. Because if you think about it, we had record stores, Warehouse, Delicious Vinyl, Tower Records, you know, all of these things that were run out of existence basically because of direct-to-consumer music capabilities. And if they had just been a little more forward-thinking, you know, or open-minded in their approach, they should really be the ones running this direct-to-consumer music thing. It shouldn't have been a company like Apple that basically came about because they had this cool device that they wanted to share with everybody, the iPod, and it was like, well, how are you going to get the music to the people, and how are they going to organize it? And that's what started iTunes. It wasn't started as a money-making venture at all. And now, it is one of the leading places where people go to get their music. When's the last time you bought a physical copy of an album? And if you bought one, where did you go to buy it? I kind of don't even really know where to go and buy those things. So, that's what it is. So listen, Gayle King recently came out and said that her bestie, Oprah, was kind of clowning her because she said that she should not beg Jay-Z for an interview. So Gayle said that she admitted she groveled before she scored the recent interview with Jay-Z. She said that on Access Hollywood that her attempts to get a sit down with him, that even Oprah thought that she should give up and let it go, that it was going nowhere. She said Oprah told her, "You're making a damn fool of yourself. Stop asking him. He doesn't want to do it." But she said she couldn't let go. And I don't know why he said yes or why he changed his mind. I'm just grateful that he did. The pair finally met up and had a conversation. We talked about some of the commentary from it. He talked about his hair, his children's reaction, his proudest moments, and so forth. And she also asked him about taking the $500,000 or having dinner. Well, she said lunch. It was dinner, but I did it first. I did it last year and asked him that. He didn't give me as an insightful an answer, though. And basically, he said, take the music. He said that you could get all the game and all the music that he has already put out there and put it in order. So, shout outs to Jay-Z. Shout out to Gayle for being persistent. And shout out for that bestie that keeps it real with you. Can you imagine Oprah just shutting you down like, you look foolish? Girl, stop asking that man for an interview. Shout out to Pretty Brown Mimi. She is checking out. She says, happy Thanksgiving. Back to our other topic. Fahima in the chat says, I could see giving church hugs for free. That's about the cuddlers. But lying in bed with a stranger sounds risque. Sounds crazy. And Urban Spinster said, there could be bad energy transfers, low vibrational. Or what if you, as the cuddler, comes into contact with a person who doesn't have the best hygiene, or their environment isn't clean, safe, and pulled together? What about that side of it, Andy?
I know they're not the same, but I know people have the same reservations about Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And look at where Uber and Lyft is now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Listen, that was called hitchhiking when I was a kid. But the important thing about Uber and Lyft is there is a tracker. There is no tracker for the cuddler. When we come forward, we're going to get into these lifestyle topics. We're also going to talk more music and what is considered writing a song at this stage, plus more trending topics and headlines. You were locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is on the other side.
Ride through, about to slide through, I'm right beside you. Mind you, my system be banging, adjust my EQ. Peekaboo, I'm not seeing you, focus on being you. There's only one of me, cause you copy, there might be three of you. Classic and so essential, we monumental, powerful, we presidential, we monumental. Like the dust, you like to fuss, look right at us. I know you like the cuss, who could you trust to bring the rush? Not the hustle,